Long before the roar of a gasoline engine filled our streets, a quieter revolution was already underway. Imagine for a moment a time of horse-drawn carriages, a world powered mostly by steam and muscle. It was in this era, way back in the early 1800s, that inventors first dreamed of a different kind of motion. They wondered, honestly, if the mysterious force of electricity could be harnessed to move people from place to place. This was not just a fleeting thought, it was the beginning of a long and winding journey for the electric car. A story of brilliant minds, early triumphs, and some pretty surprising turns. The very first electric vehicles were more like experiments on wheels than the cars we know today, but they held a powerful promise of a clean, quiet, and modern way to travel. The first steps were small but significant. In Scotland, a man named Robert Anderson built one of the very first crude electric carriages around 1832. His vehicle was not designed for long journeys. It was a proof of concept, a demonstration that electricity could indeed turn wheels. It used a simple, non-rechargeable battery, which meant its power was limited and its use was pretty impractical for daily life. Yet the idea had been planted. Across the Atlantic in the United States, other innovators were also tinkering. They saw the potential in this new technology, even if the tools to perfect it were not yet available. These early pioneers were laying the groundwork for a future they could only imagine. Decades later, the technology began to mature. In Des Moines, Francisals Mobile dan Sawin. Kinem now Bursam sin Sawist. Jim named William Morrison took the concept much further. Around 1890 he built what many consider to be the first successful and practical electric automobile in America. Morrison's vehicle was essentially a modified horse-drawn carriage, but instead of horses, it had a small electric motor powered by a bank of batteries. It could carry several passengers and travel at a modest speed of about 14 miles per hour. It was honestly a sensation. People were amazed by this horseless carriage that moved silently and without puffing smoke. Morrison's creation was a clear signal that electric power was a serious contender for the future of transportation. And these early experiments sparked a wave of innovation. By the late 1890s, electric car companies were starting to appear, each one trying to improve on the last design. The technology was advancing quickly. Batteries were becoming more powerful, motors were more efficient, and the cars themselves were becoming more reliable. It was an exciting time of change, a moment when the future of the road was up for grabs. No one knew for sure which type of power, steam, gasoline, or electricity, would win out. But for a brief, shining moment, the quiet, clean electric car seemed to have all the advantages, ready to lead the world into a new century of mobility. As the 19th century turned into the 20th, the electric car entered its golden age. It was not a niche product or just an inventor's toy anymore. It was a popular and fashionable choice for many city dwellers. In 1900, electric cars were a common sight on the streets of New York, Boston, and Chicago. In fact, they outsold both gasoline and steam-powered cars. About a third of all cars on the road were electric. They were seen as the most advanced and sophisticated form of personal transport available. This was a time when the automobile itself was a novelty, and the electric version represented the peak of modern technology and convenience. Electric cars had several clear advantages over their rivals. Gasoline cars of the era were difficult to start. They required the driver to turn a heavy, dangerous hand crank, which could easily break an arm if the engine backfired. They were also noisy, smelly, and produced clouds of unpleasant exhaust. Steam-powered cars were quieter than gasoline ones, but they took a very long time to start up, sometimes up to 45 minutes on a cold day, as you had to wait for the water to boil to produce steam. In contrast, an electric car was simple. You just turned a key or flipped a switch, and it was ready to go. Instantly. This ease of use made electric cars particularly popular with certain groups of people. They were heavily marketed to women, who appreciated not having to deal with the messy and physically demanding task of hand-cranking a gasoline engine. The cars were clean and quiet, making them ideal for short trips around the city, like visiting friends or going shopping. Urban residents who didn't need to travel long distances found them perfect. The limited range of the batteries, often around 30 to 40 miles, was not a problem for daily errands within the city limits. Electric cars became a symbol of elegance and modern urban living. Many prominent people were fans of electric cars. Thomas Edison, the famous inventor, was a strong supporter and worked on developing better batteries for them. He believed electricity was the superior fuel for automobiles. Even Henry Ford's wife, Clara Ford, preferred her quiet and clean 1914 Detroit Electric over the gasoline-powered Model T that her husband was mass-producing. For a time, it really seemed like the future of personal transportation would be electric. The industry was booming, with dozens of manufacturers producing a variety of models, from small two-seaters to luxurious enclosed carriages. The electric car was not just a vehicle, it was a statement of class and forward thinking. The golden age of the electric car did not last. A series of innovations and economic shifts began to tip the scales in favor of gasoline power. One of the most important developments was the invention of the electric starter in 1912 by Charles Kettering. This single device eliminated the biggest drawback of the gasoline car, the dreaded hand crank. Now, anyone could start a gasoline engine with the simple push of a button. The electric car's main advantage in convenience suddenly vanished. Starting a car was no longer a messy or dangerous ordeal, making gasoline vehicles accessible and appealing to a much wider audience, including the women who had previously preferred electrics. At the same time, Henry Ford was perfecting the mass production of his Model T. Using a moving assembly line, he was able to build cars faster and much more cheaply than ever before. In 1908, a Model T cost around $850. By the 1920s, the price had dropped to under $300. In contrast, electric cars were still largely built by hand and were much more expensive, often costing 2 or 3 times as much as a Model T. Ford's affordable and increasingly reliable car put personal transportation within reach of the average American family for the first time. The choice for most consumers became simple: a cheap, versatile gasoline car, or an expensive, limited-range electric one. Another major factor was the discovery of huge oil reserves, particularly in Texas. This made gasoline cheap and widely available. A network of gas stations began to spread across the country, especially along the new roads being built to connect cities. This infrastructure gave gasoline cars a huge advantage in range and flexibility. You could drive a Model T across the country, refueling easily along the way. Electric cars, on the other hand, were tied to the cities where electricity was available for recharging. Rural America, with its limited electrical grid, was gasoline country. As the nation expanded and people wanted to travel longer distances, the short range of electric cars became a fatal flaw. By the 1930s, the electric car had all but disappeared. The combination of the electric starter, the low cost of the Model T, and cheap, abundant gasoline was just too much to overcome. The companies that had once proudly built electric vehicles either went out of business or switched to making gasoline-powered cars. The quiet, clean electric car became a historical curiosity, a footnote in the story of the automobile. The roar of the internal combustion engine had won. For the next several decades, the world would run on gasoline, and the dream of an electric car would enter a long, deep sleep, waiting for a new reason to reawaken. For many years, the electric car was little more than a memory. The world embraced gasoline, building a global economy around oil. But in the 1960s and 70s, the first signs of trouble appeared. Thick smog began to choke major cities like Los Angeles, and scientists started to understand the link between car exhaust and air pollution. This growing environmental concern led some people to look for cleaner alternatives. At the same time, the 1973 oil crisis sent shockwaves around the world. An oil embargo led to massive shortages, long lines at gas stations, and soaring prices. Suddenly, the world's dependence on foreign oil felt very risky. These two crises, pollution and oil shortages, created a new reason to reconsider the electric car. This renewed interest did not lead to an immediate revolution. Instead, it sparked a period of small-scale experimentation. Small companies and even individual hobbyists began building quirky, often tiny, electric vehicles. These were not the elegant electrics of the early 1900s. Cars like the Sebring Vanguard City Car, a small wedge-shaped vehicle, became symbols of this era. They were slow, had a very limited range, and offered few of the comforts or safety features of conventional cars. They were more like glorified golf carts than true automobiles. While they did find a small market of enthusiastic early adopters, they failed to convince the general public that electricity was a viable replacement for gasoline. The limitations of these cars came down to one crucial component: the battery. The technology had not advanced much since the early days. Most of these electric cars still used heavy, inefficient lead-acid batteries, the same basic technology used to start gasoline cars. These batteries could not store much energy, which meant the cars could not go very far on a single charge. They were also very heavy, which made the cars inefficient, and they wore out relatively quickly. Without a better way to store electricity, the electric car was stuck. It could not compete with gasoline cars on performance, range, or convenience. Despite these failures, the idea of the electric car did not die again. The seeds of a comeback had been planted. Governments began to take notice. In the 1990s, California passed new regulations requiring automakers to sell a certain percentage of zero-emission vehicles. This forced major car companies to get serious about electric cars for the first time in decades. The most famous result was General Motors' EV1. It was a sleek, futuristic car, the first modern electric vehicle designed from the ground up by a major automaker. It was a technological marvel for its time, but it was expensive to build, and was ultimately cancelled, leaving its passionate drivers heartbroken. The EV1 showed what was possible, but it also proved that the world was still not quite ready for the electric car. The real turning point for the electric car came not from the auto industry, but from the world of consumer electronics. In the 1990s and 2000s, a new type of battery became common: the lithium-ion battery. This technology powered the laptops, mobile phones, and digital cameras that were changing our daily lives. Lithium-ion batteries were a game-changer because they were much lighter and could store far more energy than the old lead-acid batteries. A few visionaries realized that if you could string thousands of these small batteries together, you could power a car. This was the technological breakthrough the electric vehicle had been waiting for nearly a century. In 2003, a small startup company was founded in California with a bold mission to prove that electric cars could be better, faster, and more fun to drive than gasoline cars. That company was Tesla Motors. Its founders were not traditional car guys. They were Silicon Valley engineers who saw the electric car as a technology problem. Their first car, the Tesla Roadster, launched in 2008, was a statement. It was a high-performance sports car that could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds and travel over 200 miles on a single charge. It was expensive, but it completely shattered the old image of electric cars as slow, boring golf carts. The Roadster was just the beginning. Tesla's next car, the Model S, released in 2012, was the car that truly started the revolution. It was a stylish, luxurious sedan with a huge touchscreen inside, incredible acceleration, and a practical range of over 250 miles. It won numerous awards and showed the world that an electric car could be a primary family vehicle, not just a second car for city errands. Tesla also understood that the car was only part of the solution. They began building their own network of high-speed supercharger stations, which made long-distance travel in an electric car easy and practical for the first time. This solved the range anxiety that had plagued electric cars for so long. Tesla's success woke up the entire auto industry. Other major car companies, who had been slow to invest in electric technology, suddenly realized they were being left behind. They scrambled to develop their own electric models to compete. Companies like Nissan with its Leaf, Chevrolet with its Bolt, and later, Volkswagen, Ford, and Hyundai all started launching compelling electric cars. At the same time, governments around the world began offering subsidies and tax credits to encourage people to buy electric vehicles. They also invested in building public charging infrastructure. The electric car was no longer a niche product. It was rapidly becoming a mainstream choice. Today, we are living in the middle of the electric car revolution that started over a century ago. The streets are getting quieter as more and more electric vehicles replace their noisy gasoline counterparts. The technology is improving at an incredible pace. Batteries are becoming cheaper and more powerful, allowing for EVs with ranges of 300, 400, or even 500 miles on a single charge. Charging is getting faster, with some cars able to add hundreds of miles of range in the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee. This rapid progress is making electric cars more practical and affordable for more people than ever before. The push for electric cars is now a global effort to create a cleaner and more sustainable future. Governments around the world have set ambitious goals to phase out gasoline and diesel cars in the coming decades. This is driven by the urgent need to combat climate change, as transportation is a major source of greenhouse gas emissions. Electric cars, especially when powered by renewable energy sources like solar and wind, produce zero tailpipe emissions. This not only helps the planet, but also improves air quality in our cities, making them healthier places to live. The electric car is no longer just a cool piece of technology, it is a vital tool in building a better world. The competition in the electric car market is fierce and exciting. It's not just Tesla and the traditional automakers anymore. New companies from all over the world are jumping in, bringing fresh ideas and innovative designs. This intense competition is driving down prices and increasing the variety of EVs available. Soon, there will be an electric option for every need and budget, from small city cars and family SUVs to powerful pickup trucks and delivery vans. This is great news for consumers, as it means more choice, better technology, and lower costs. The electric car is rapidly becoming the new normal. The journey of the electric car has been long and filled with twists and turns. From the early experiments of the 1800s to its golden age, its long slide into obscurity, and its spectacular rebirth in the 21st century, it is a story of persistence and innovation. The quiet hum of an electric motor, once a novelty, is now the sound of the future. We are still in the early stages of this transformation, but the direction is clear. The electric revolution is here to stay, and it is quietly and cleanly reshaping our roads, our cities, and our world, one car at a time. The long road has led us back to a simple, powerful idea that was there all along.